That's how I can. I'm here about Clinton Street and Elm Park.
Go ahead and call this meeting to order. For the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chad, can you please do the roll call?
Supervisor Craig. Supervisor Thorne.
Here.
Chairman Schaller.
Here.
Supervisor Bromer. Here. And Supervisor Wolford.
Here. First item on the agenda will be citizens' concerns. Anyone here that wishes to address the town board? Can I get a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mitch and second by Bob. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Who wants to start?
I will.
Go ahead.
Well, unless you want. Go ahead.
For those that wishing to speak again, please remember to state your name and address for the record.
My name is Barbara Ball. My address is 104 Goddard Place, French Island. I've called a number of different places. I've called the police. I've called the town hall. I have called Humane Society. And I get absolutely nothing from anybody. Right next to me in the trailer court, they had, a few months ago, they caught 21 feral cats in an area of about 3 trailers. So what's going on at the other side, I'm not sure, but in my side, it's really bad. They did pick up some. Right now, I think we're down to 14 or 15, 16, something like that. These cats are feral cats. They're dangerous. I just got a poodle, a toy poodle. He would go off my deck. It was at night, and he would go off the deck, and I couldn't figure out why. Because I always stand with him. I never let my dog out without being with him because he's so small. So I walked down all the way to the deck, and about a yard away from him was a feral cat, tail whipping, fur standing up on her back. Now my puppy is just, at that time he was 6 months old. He likes to play. He's very, very friendly. If that cat would have attacked him, he could have been badly hurt. My husband went out, opened up the hood of the car, and there's a cat sitting on the top of his motor. This is a very dangerous, and I think a very serious, because those cats can be carrying diseases. They can be doing, they tear up the flowers. They go in my garage and have their babies. My garage is almost unusable because it smells so bad from the cats getting in and out. And because I've called so many places, I called here, they said they wouldn't put me on the agenda because they didn't consider it a serious problem. But when you've got 21 cats in a small area like that, that's a serious problem. I think it's a health issue. And I think it's dangerous. If anybody gets clawed by one of those cats, they could get serious diseases. Something has to be done. Now, I've been told the town has no real responsibility. The police have no responsibility. The Humane Society said, well, they'll come and pick it up if you keep calling. So again, they don't think it's a serious situation. But the cats, they take the cats, they get rid of them, and then all of a sudden, there's about 4 toms that comes around, and you'll have 5, 6 mothers all pregnant with kittens at the same time. This is a very serious situation. I'd really like to find out if you can't do something to take care of it. And I'm not the only one that's worried about it. My next door neighbor, Kay, she has a problem, and I know Shannon also says there is a problem. The cats get underneath the trailers, they move in, they live in with their litters and so on and so forth. So what you can do, I don't know, but I would really appreciate it if you try to find something. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Who's next? Go ahead. Doug.
Doug Olson, 3035 Lakeshore Drive. And thanks to Bob, the manholes were checked.
Oh, Ralph.
And evidently they're they're okay. And now my next question is, and we discussed this over the telephone, we're getting a culvert down so we can dump it over on Baumgartner to solve the problem. I realize you can't do it now, but I'd like to see it on the agenda for next year to try to solve our wastewater problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Next. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Bellman, 1503 Sterling Street. I think we need to move our dates for the chipping, because there are people that have apple trees and they can't chip them, cut them because of sap in there, and then that stuff lays around all winter. I think we need to move the dates to, say, the first 2 weeks of November, to give people a chance to be able to trim them trees and have the branches out there. I'm sure we're not gonna have snow that soon, so the town should be able to get out and do it.
That's a job.
So,
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Andrew Jewell, 2830 Bay Shore Drive. Want to touch on 5 points here. I have no relations, I haven't had any relations with my neighbors to the north, Judy Pace and Mary Malley, because of the problems I've been having with them. I have here a copy that Pat Post wrote to Mary Malley and Judy Pace concerning a ordinance violation, which is section 6.04-H, requires that these bushes and trees under 3 feet in diameter be cut down. Here's a picture of my yard here with the lot line right alongside the fence. As you can see, there's a lot of debris and foliage encroaching on my property. It's right up to my garage, which is 8 feet, and there's a foot away from my cabin, which is 12 feet away. So there's 11 feet there. I also have a copy of from my insurance company, which he sent to Judy Pace in regards to in a recent review of property insurance with my client Annie Jewell. It has come to my attention that these trees on the edge of your property are endangering his home. This presents an increased risk for damage to his property, and he is very concerned about this exposure. In an ongoing effort to control loss costs, we here at American Family conduct an on-site survey every 5 years for all our clients and make recommendations for repairs and these increased risks. Andy asked that I get in touch with you to express the concerns we have for the potential damage to his property in an effort to enlist your help in either trimming or removing trees from your property. We appreciate your consideration and are here to answer any questions that may arise from this. Sincerely, Philip Strand, Westby, Wisconsin, 306 North Main Street. That pretty much concludes everything here. I believe I'd like to have one of the members of one of the supervisors contact Judy Pace and Mary Malley in reference to this foliage encroaching on my property within 5 days, and also give them 5 days to correct this problem. I think you should probably send them a letter, a certified letter, so they are sure to receive this letter and just don't throw it in the wastebasket. So I've tried to relate this to Mitch Bromer, but he's bowed out and told me that these girls are doctors. I don't care if they're rocket scientists, they still have to obey the laws of the land and the ordinances. So I'd rather that you put this particular problem to one of the other people, not Mitch Bromer, because Mitch Bromer didn't do a thing.
Andy, I did not bow out.
they tried to cut a tree down on their property and you stood underneath it and wouldn't let them, and the tree service finally left.
I don't have to move off my property. You're incorrect there.
Oh, no, I'm not incorrect.
Yes, you are. You're in violation.
I talked to the tree service and they said you would not move, they couldn't cut the tree down.
I don't have to move off my property.
Okay.
You're wrong.
You want the tree cut down, but you want to stay
Oh,
in
the
there.
police officer said leave the tree alone. Chief,
Well, of course he did.
yes.
Yeah, because the tree service wasn't going to cut it down with you standing there.
They cannot drop a tree on my property without my permission.
Who said they were going to drop it on your property?
They were going to.
How do you know that? The tree service was there to cut the tree down, and you prevented them from doing it.
They're not going to drop it on my property, no.
They weren't going to drop it on your property.
No, they weren't. I was standing right there and make sure they didn't.
Okay.
It's not a laughing matter.
No, it's not a laughing matter. You're your own worst enemy.
No, I'm not.
Okay. And 2 feet of that property in that picture there belongs to them, not you. Their fence is 2 feet in off the lot line.
Incorrect also.
No, it's not.
You're also incorrect.
So Andy, do you want the tree cut? And if they were able to cut it partially, some of it were to fall on your property, that's not acceptable? Which is more important, I guess. That's what I'm trying to get to. Would you like them cut?
Inside their fence line is 10 inches
Okay, I'm just...
from the fence.
Okay. Did the property...
The property line is 10 inches inside their fence line. Not 2 feet. You're incorrect.
Okay.
I had the property surveyed.
Okay, so if you wanted, if your number one goal is to get the trees cut, and they did have some incidental debris on your property but cleaned it up to your satisfaction, is that acceptable or no?
Well, yeah, they've got to clean it to, you can see that this foliage is encroaching and touching my garage, and it's also 1 foot away from my cabin.
Right on. So if you take a before picture of the property and then they come and cut it, and then an after picture and it's not done then to the satisfaction, make sure that it gets done and we're good, or would you be okay with that is what I'm trying to get to?
Well, all I want is, according to the insurance man here, it says that they're causing
Potential, but yeah.
potential problems with my property.
So before it does cause trouble, and we give them the tools to get it taken care of, in lieu of potential debris temporarily existing during the cleanup process.
I don't want this foliage dropped on my property either.
Okay.
It all comes from their side of the lot line.
Okay, so how do you have a alternative proposal that they can get?
Yeah, they can put it on their property, whatever they cut. They'll have to cut from their side too of the property, not my side. I'm not going to allow them to go to my side of the property.
Okay, so
They have to cut on their side of the property, not mine.
Thanks, Andy. We got to move on because try to hold it to 5 minutes.
Fine,
Okay,
thank
go
you.
ahead.
All right, my name is Brent Hall. I was born and raised on French Island at 1515 Bainbridge Street. I'm actually a 5th and last generation native son of the island. I currently live at 3005 Lakeshore Drive. And the number one issue I have is Clinton Street right now. The lady for the county board, I ran for the county board back in 2002 because of injustice. Getting jumped years ago when I was a young man, 24. I got sent to prison for 4 years for getting jumped by half a dozen foreigners down at Jolin's, and it's still pending. The lady, I don't like how they represent French Island. I never did. Years ago, my dad and those guys, when they were growing up, they didn't allow Northsiders on. It wasn't right, but I don't like how they cut us off over there. I was here last week to talk about it, and I don't like how they do it. And just past week, I see a couple little kids walking on that side of the street like they're telling them, encourage them to go walk over there, that they have a right. Well, whoever wants that bike lane over there, if them little boys and little girls that walk over there, because you guys tell them to go all walk over there, get hit and killed like, was it old Harder did or whatever when he was walking over there because the sidewalk was in trouble? I hope you guys sleep better at night. And the second thing, I was here about Nelson Park. You guys want to give up our ballparks. They're knocking away French Island. I did a little research on the La Crosse County zoning. You know, how much of the airport do we own? Because it came up that I have the zoning numbers and stuff that, do we still own a lot of the airport, like Fisherman's Road too? It comes up on there, like French Island, Town of Campbell owns it. I mean, years ago before my time, did they just lease it to the city? of lacrosse or something? Do you know anything about that, Chad, or no?
I don't, no, I don't. I'd have
Could
to,
you look into it then?
we could look into
And
it.
then one other thing is, everybody thinks we own Sky Harbor Park, right? I mean, we're taking care of Sky Harbor. Apparently, if you look it up, that some R&R people own this whole block over here too. We don't own that. And if we're gonna give up our own park and we're gonna take care of someone's private property park, I think that's bullshit, pardon my language. And it needs to be stopped. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Brent. Who's next? Next, go ahead.
Kevin Campbell, 2620 Delray Avenue. This is in regards to the rain we had this summer again. I got some information that the town engineer overrid what was done for the project. He had the road raised to what he thought it should be. I just want to know if that's true or not, because when you raise the center of the road, all the water went to the sides and went in our basements. And that doesn't, I'd just like to know why that would have been the right thing to do.
You got information that says they did raise it too high?
Well, somebody informed me that the town engineer overruled whatever the spec was that Cedar Corp did and raised the road. You know, high center, raise the center of the road up so the water goes out. Which in theory would make some sense, but if there's no place for the water to go except in our basements, it doesn't make any sense. That's what I'm getting at. I don't know, that's why I'm asking, you know, if I can get some explanation on that, or, you know, I'm not sure, that's why I'm asking.
We can
I'm
explore a little
assuming
more.
anything.
We've looked some at the plans from the road after your last meeting, just to.
I haven't seen the plans, no.
Yeah,
I've
no,
talked to
you
somebody
looked at them a little
who
bit, yeah.
So
And,
I'm like, that's why I'm asking, I want to make sure
Okay.
that the information is correct and not.
And it's, we have been doing some ongoing conversations about this too,
Okay.
trying to figure out, you know, they put a crown in the road when they put it in, like, you know,
Right.
just to keep the water off of it. And it's, especially with the rain that big, caused a big issue. It's-
But I
You
guess
know, that's
I mean,
obvious, but,
clearly,
we-
why would you crown the road when it's just going to push the water off into the houses? I guess, to me, that doesn't make any road sense.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Had to
But I
look
just,
into it some
I'd
more.
like an explanation, or if that's true or not true, or,
That I don't know, we'd have to look into it some more.
Okay.
But, and I can talk to you after the meeting and get some more information from you if you want.
well, my daughter's got cries, so I gotta go.
I know where you live, I can come down there.
But I appreciate the time looking into it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I forgot one more thing about Clinton Street. Seeing how we have no rights over there, I think they need to put street lights on that other side of the street. As far as Shoes Pits goes, I was gonna come in here a long time ago and tell them they should plow that pit in where Michael Schuster used to live back there by the old Riverside Bar and put a sidewalk on there because somebody's gonna get killed. It's only a matter of time. And now, like I said, that they got that bike walk, they got little kids walking over. I noticed one day when I was coming back home over Clinton Street, and, you know, I don't know if they're encouraging them to go walk over there so somebody gets hit, but, you know, it's gonna happen. And if we ain't got no rights about it, hopefully wherever the lady from the zoning board is, back there, I guess, hopefully she raises some stink down there because everybody here at the county board and on French Island, we kind of all got excluded. You know, I would say we do like Donald Trump's doing to these sanctuary cities, seeing how we didn't get representation. No taxation without representation. I'd say we'd withhold our county taxes until we get our voices heard, is what I'd be doing if I was sitting on that board.
I'm gonna have to cut you off, Brent.
That's
You got
fine.
Somebody in the back?
Tim Larson, 1924 Nokomis. I'm here to speak in favor of the proposal to add sidewalk crossings, crosswalks, an additional sidewalk and crosswalk on Clinton Street. We have an incomplete street on Clinton, and we need to protect the pedestrians along the street. The crosswalks would help that. I think the crosswalks are a start of improving the downtown of Town of Campbell. Farther to the west, where we have our business district, a couple of crosswalks in that area and sidewalks too in the future, but this is just the start, would improve our town. So I'd like to support, my proposal would be to figure out a way to get the crosswalks in and continue to put more crosswalks in that area of town. Thanks.
Thanks, Tim. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Al, 1930 Cherokee Avenue. I concur with Tim, except I don't think we really need sidewalks on the north side of Clinton Street. We've got a nice sidewalk on the south side. With the crosswalks, people can use that quite readily. And I think the city is given us quite a bill, and a lot of that is for sidewalks that I feel are inappropriate at this point in time.
Thanks, Al. Anybody else? Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, Ralph, what's the updates on the alleys so far? How many we got done? How many more to go? Or
We did the alleys up on the Crescent Street by the park. So we're gonna start just doing a chunk each year. So that's probably all we're gonna get done this year. Next year we'll get another chunk of them, and we're just gonna keep kind of rotating those two, so that every year we don't have to do all of them. Unless you know some that are in severe shape.
yeah, there's one up on the north end there between Youngdale and Howring, I think it is.
Okay.
I mean, there's some real bad ruts in there. The center of it needs to be taken out, and there's some bad ruts there. So
You can definitely look at it. I'll take a drive up there and take a look.
yeah, G under business, Terry. What's the story on the lease agreement about Nelson Park?
I guess we'll be into it here in a little bit, but they're trying to get $6,500 a year from us
To keep that
as a ball field.
that's a little steep, man.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Who come up with that number?
City of La Crosse, engineering.
Engineering department? Because how much land is there?
Well, it'll just be the ball field.
I did research on the tax thing. Like I said, a lot of that airport comes up French Island, town of Campbell territory, and it was before my time. So I don't know if they lease it out or how much they owe, or they're just kind of sweep it under the rug and putting it in their pockets or whatever. But that's a lot of tax money for us, and we should fight for everything we got. And if we're going to take care of a private Sky Harbor Park down here, I discovered, I think we should keep our own park first.
Sorry, Bruce, it was Mark Schlafer, city assessor, $6,500 a year.
So if we don't go on with 6,500, then we're gonna take it over and fence it off, is that it?
That's correct.
There's no alternative for money, yeah? Just 6,500 or, that's it?
That's correct.
The FAA rules require now that when they lease property, it has to be leased at fair market value. They can't lease it to you for $1 anymore like they used to. So,
They hide behind that FAA pretty regular up there.
yeah.
That's all I got for
I have some
now.
other
Thank
info
you.
on it, you know, I can
Anybody else?
reiterate on some
Lee?
other
Of
things
course.
too.
I would like to speak on that lease agreement about Nelson Park. So you mean to tell me that the city is either going to charge us $6,500 or they're going to fence it off and not get any money for it? So the city, we just let the city come up with the price that they're going to charge us without coming back with a counter offer with this whole thing, or we're just going to give it up to them. I mean, granted, not a lot of people use it, but that doesn't mean that we can't fix it up or we can't get people to use it. I don't think we should necessarily be giving up as much property as we can. It's the city of La Crosse. They're the Satan on the other side of the river. Item M. I really would hope that you guys would not approve these unless they're all here to answer questions that people may or may not have for them. I mean, if you guys are gonna vote on having these officers and trustees be the governing body of the fire department, they should all be here to answer questions. Every single one of them should be here to answer the questions that people are going to have. I guess I can probably keep it short, less than 100 words this time.
That it? Thanks. Go ahead.
My name's Carrie Ebner. I live at 2517 Island Park Road, and I've lived there for the past 40 years. I am also a first responder for the town of Campbell, and I am like about 90, maybe some percent of the people that live on the island that don't attend board meetings regularly because of the fact I love living here. I feel safe. And I feel as though the elected officials that we have are looking out for my best interest. So in light of that, I was made aware that last month this board voted down a candidate for the fire department that was approved by the Board of Trustees and the members. And I couldn't understand why we would do that because of the fact that she already had the training, EMT. She lived close enough to respond as like most of us. I mean, even if I'm on the island, if it's on Nokomis, it's going to take me longer to get there than it would her. And the fact that we don't have to pay any of her training, and she had daytime availability, that's kind of really important to our department. And then I also has been told, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that when there was a discussion to this, there was a mention of not adding anyone to the fire department because of the chaos of the department. And I am a proud member of that department, and I am there all the time, and I don't know what chaos it is that you're referring to. I know that I'm writing notes because I become passionate and then I start going off on a tangent and I don't want to waste your time. So that's kind of why I've done it this way. And so the deal is that I'm not sure of where you're coming up with the chaos part of it. I'm kind of sure, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to just explain to you, if you wanted to know more about us, that this is a good way of doing it. The first Tuesday of every month is our training at 7 o'clock, and at 8:30-ish, it can get later, is when we have our business meeting. And a business meeting is where we kind of talk about everything we do. We have different groups that are on different committees. So there's committee reports, there's what's going on, what we need to know that's going on. It tells us when there's added trainings that we can take. Everyone gets a voice, everybody talks. It's kind of a casual meeting. It's not a whole structure. We try to keep it structured, but when you have that many people, that it can kind of sometimes get out of hand. Now last week, this is a fire department in chaos. Last week there was a news in the paper about this Granny basketball team that's going to come and do a fundraiser for the fire department. Channel 19 and Channel 8 were at Summit School while we were doing our annual fire safety program. And that doesn't reflect chaos to me, but I mean, if you're trying to keep 4K and third graders you're trying to get their attention, sometimes it can be a little chaotic, but that'd be the most chaos that we've had with our department. Our department is part of MAVIS, which is a mutual aid organization that helps local fire departments if there is an event that they need and require additional resources. It has improved its fire rating that brings down the local residents' insurance bills. It has received a grant that allows us to put computer tablets into 3 of our rigs so that we can better serve the community at no cost to the town. It was our fire department that first started with IMR, which is I am responding, which lets fellow officers know, or fellow firemen know who's coming to the station to get on the engines. Now the whole county is going to go that way. And on the EMS side, we are the only volunteer group that has been trained to apply 10 leads onto a patient with a heart attack to better help Tri-State analyze the problem and administer the medication early. And for the last 5 years, a member of our department has been honored by the Seven Rivers Cardiac Arrest Association for saving lives from cardiac arrest. These achievements do not come with chaos. They come with the hard work of a special group of volunteers, and I stress, volunteers, that I am proud to be part of, who give their time and their talents for the safety of our community. And from the leadership of our chief, Nate Melby, who devotes more time than any of us to help us be the best we can be. We are all about customer service. He will tell anyone trying to join our group. His philosophy is that we are called to help people who are probably having the worst day of their lives. And we hope by the time we leave them, we have made it better. And we have done our jobs. Where is the chaos in that? I stand behind Chief Melby, and so do the rest of us that are here. I am on the board, on the trustees, and I can answer a lot of any questions that the board might have. So, excuse me if I get a little high strung. That's kind of my nature.
I'm going to respond. And thank you for telling me your opinion, and I will admit that I was the one that said it, but my words were there is some drama in the department.
Oh, well, that goes the same way. How can there be drama if we're achieving all of that?
Well, I've thought about how I wanted to answer this, and I appreciate everything you guys do, and I'll say it over and over again. I've used your services, not me personally, but my grandparents. You did an excellent job. But there is some things that need to be taken care of, I think, before you bring in new people. I can give you some examples if you would like. Otherwise, I don't have to. Would you like to hear those? Sure. Okay. So there's been an open records request for the town, the fire department, since April. I'm pretty sure that this person has not received everything he needs to yet, and he's made more requests. Also, I've been coming to these meetings before I was on town board. I was not happy with some of the things that were happening. I ran. I have no children. I ran because I'm passionate about making the community a better place, more safe, just better for everybody. I've lived here my whole life. I'm born and raised. I live in my grandparents' home. I enjoy it here. And so I wanted some things changed, so I wanted to join. I wanted to be a part of this. Since then, there's been bickering and then the bickering's kind of calmed down about that room over here that used to be the library. That's some drama, I believe, I would list that as drama. I had to have the YMCA come here to discuss services for us to use them next year, and I had to bring that poor man into this big room. That's just some of it. Another thing is there was a firefighter who was removed from the fire department, and I'm not sure exactly on all the specifics, but from what I've heard, it was because of his opinions not agreeing with some of the people on the fire department. And one last thing, and I'm hesitant to say this, but somebody on the fire department, no names will be mentioned, chose to bring a gun to a fire call.
And was reprimanded.
Still, the point is, you have your own problems that I feel like you need to take care of. You need to clean up the house a little bit before you bring more people in and bring them into it. I just don't feel like that's fair for new people to come in when the situation's kind of array right now. And that's my personal opinion.
Right.
That is not any of their opinion. They are all entitled to their own. And I stand by what I said.
Okay.
And as you, I'm very passionate. And I am doing what I believe is correct. My parents taught me to stand up for what I think is right.
And you need to come to one of our business meetings instead of our trustee meeting. Because the trustee meeting is where we sign bills that we run this department on a shoestring.
And when I reached out about meeting with that thing, meeting with Mr. Melby, and all I was told was about those meetings.
About the trustee meeting?
Yes, and Ralph has been very great about emailing me and telling me when they are, because sometimes I know you guys have to change them.
Right.
Stuff happens.
Right. But it's just that you're not going to see what the whole picture is.
I reached out when I first started. A big part of I reached out to every group, and I made a point to come. And I met with Matthew at town here, and I went on a tour. We looked at everything.
Right.
And it was excellent, because I hadn't been in there since I was a little kid.
Right.
So it was like awesome. Some things were said that really put me off by some people that were present at that time. So I came in a clean slate. I had
You weren't exactly a clean slate.
How dare you speak for me?
Well, I'm just saying that I think you were, maybe we need to talk.
Woman, and I have my own opinions. I don't.
Okay, I really think that maybe you and I should have a
Well,
conversation.
this whole thing should have happened that way. A phone call would have been great. That's my perspective.
And you and I have had conversations.
Yeah, and they've been great. But the point is I've reached out. I'm entitled to my opinion. I think there's some drama. I think it needs to be addressed before new people come in. And I'm pretty sure we didn't decline her. She just has to be a member or live on the island as soon as she becomes a Town of Campbell resident.
Right. But
so that's a false
have you
statement.
tried to find an apartment on the island? We do have a new person that is on the island.
There's quite a few
So you're gonna-
apartments and houses on the island. I have friends that are looking right now, and they've found some.
And they're very expensive.
You know.
So Carrie, I do want to say thanks. You guys, I do think you guys, the department has always done an outstanding job. They really have. The advantage of having you guys back, there was a time when you would come to the meetings or, I don't know, we would do board reports.
Right.
On and off. So maybe that's a key part where you can come and emphasize and do however you want to do a board or a member representation maybe.
Isn't there
Something for.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely. I know Chief Gavrielos usually is here. I don't know if he's here.
He was here.
He's standing
I
outside.
saw him outside. So he's here.
So, just as a potential option, and I'm going to say that again, Kelsey clarified that she wasn't denied. It was just we were going to hold it over, and instead of that, they said instead of deferring it, would be when she moves on, they'll review it again. And there was some leftover.
I didn't realize that they had to be approved by you, any members,
Well, that's
even if they live on the
I
island.
believe that's been in your bylaws since like 1987
No.
or something.
Appoint ours. It doesn't. I don't
What?
know.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't think they're approved by the board. I think those are appointed positions and the board of trustees, but not new members. I don't think.
Well, and if that is the case, I'm not going to. Can't speak to that specifically. I always say then it's a non-issue. That was the only reason was it was held. So
Let's move on. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for all the lives you've saved. Go ahead.
I hadn't planned on speaking, but I'll follow up, Harry. I actually live at 622 Harvey Street in La Crosse, but I work on French Island. So I became a member through our process of you guys voting and bringing me on 2 or 3 years ago. And I have to say, these guys are one of the most professional folks. I used to be a first responder in Trempealeau. I do Minnesota, Wisconsin Canine Search and Rescue. I'm on the La Crosse Dive Unit. Every organization has, if you want to define it as drama, has issues. A lot of it's just communication issues, talking back and forth, making sure everyone knows what's going on. But I have to say, I'm proud to be able to come during the daytime when I'm working. My work actually allows me to come to calls if I'm on. The fire department and EMS have come to our place a number of times. One of them was on me because I burnt popcorn in our microwave. But anyway, so just having them here, I think a lot of this is just communication issues, which I think a lot of problems with different organizations come down to. So I really urge you to keep we'll keep the door open, and you keep the door open for conversations back and forth, so we can iron out some of these issues that you see.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Can I get a motion to call a public hearing?
So moved.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Bob, second by Terry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's go down the consent agenda, items A through C. If there's no action taken on the consent agenda, can I get a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
I got a motion by Kelsey, second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to business. 5A. We have Catherine Lemers, Lake Onalaska District meeting update.
I try once a year to stop by, so pass this around. I'm Catherine Lammers, and I live at 2727 Bay Shore, and I'm the rep for being the super commissioner for the Lake District as part of the county government. And we usually have 2 social/educational meetings per year. This year we had Castaways, which is near Clinton Street, so that we could get more people to come rather than just lake people, trying to get more people because the whole island obviously is on water. And then also we try to have the annual meeting be very educational, interesting. So sometimes we have 100 people, sometimes we have 20. So it kind of goes up and down. And then other things that we try to promote is good practices around decreasing the amount of pesticides and trying to think about how to be water friendly, that sort of thing, which is consistent with what you think too. So we also have plans next year to again have more socials. So if you want to be a part of those, we are welcome to join in. Kelsey came this last time, so we always send invitations to you, but I know you get a lot of invitations. And then I'm a peer educator about people trying to figure out how to manage their shoreline if people want. So, okay. Any questions about the Lake District? Are you familiar with the Lake District? You kind of know what I mean? Like on the last one.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention, I'm part of the beautification committee too for French Island. And there's 4 signs up in French, on the tip of French Island at Nelson Park. And I've asked the Corps, the DNR, the Fish and Wildlife, all these people, none of them own it. Probably they were put in by Boy Scouts, probably a long time ago. So the signs are there, but the words are not there. And I thought it would be nice to stick some words in there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they've long ago worn out, or take the words away. But the words used to say things about being a flyway, about the prairie plant. So anyways, I thought maybe the beautification committee could come up with some, or the Lake District, whichever one you want me under, just come up with something. There's 4 signs that are there. They've been mowing around them for, I've been on the island almost 20 years. They've been there, and they used to be readable, but they're not now. So.
There's money left in the beautification. Yeah.
That was started out. The whole project was a Boy Scouts. So once again, I mean, they did a great job. But probably those folks tend to move on, and so
so that's what I thought is there's really nothing wrong with the signs. It's just the words are all worn out. So either you're calling me Lake Commissioner or beautification, we'll come up with some words and put them under there. And I don't know.
Need board action, and she's looking to take it over, man. It got my vote.
Anyway, so it's a positive thing. It's not okay, so thank you.
Thank you. We'll go down to 5B, Pat and Daryl Becker, 2805 Bayshore Drive, request for annual shoreline burning permit.
I'd like to burn a small portion of our slope onto the waterway, maybe about 20 by 20, to get some wildflowers going in.
We're neighbors, and I have the annual permission to burn my prairie plants, and so we do that. And so my husband and I said we'd help Pat do that with her. So we're just going to do like what we say about it.
This is the forever topic, and my position on that is I'm all go ahead and do it. The things you got to be aware of is affecting the neighbors if they complain, and that automatically supersedes your permit that we gave you. If somebody complains and says, hey, the smoke is blowing up in my house, or I've got COPD, asthma, whatever those issues might be, we definitely don't want that effect. So I I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know if you hear that all the time or ever, but it's always contingent. You get the permit, you inform the, so, but if somebody, if it starts causing an issue, so just to be cognizant of that, maybe wind direction, or if there's wind and how much you're burning, but I just wanted to make sure.
Can I get a motion to accept?
I'll motion to accept.
I'll second that. A motion by Kelsey, a second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Cool.
No.
Motion carries.
I just wanted to reiterate to you, Pat, that we do have the burning permits, that you do still have to come into the town here and take out the burning permit.
Thank you, Chad.
Before you can burn. So.
And that permit, then, it would be good for...
It's a 5-day burn permit.
5 days.
Or within a window of 5 days, one time only.
One time use.
Yes.
Thank you.
Move down to 5C, approval of temporary Class B retailer's license for French Island Club for October 21st, 2017 at the community center.
Another fish boil.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mitch, second by Kelsey. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to 5D. Approval of Dan Kabanke as town representative, La Crosse County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Well, Dan's been doing it for a long time, so.
Here.
Yeah. I didn't see him.
Well, he's been doing it forever.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we reapprove him.
I second that.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Bob. Any further discussion? Call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Need to set 5E, set a date for budget working session.
Yeah, I think it's coming to be that time again of the year where we have to start thinking about putting our budgets together. I've gotten almost everybody's. I'm waiting on a couple more, but if we could set a date sometime this month to get together. I know it's a busy month. We do, again on the 26th, we do have a meeting already set for Board of Review. We have a meeting tomorrow, so.
We were talking about that a little bit because we got Board of Review
Board of Review
on the
tomorrow.
Open Book and Board of Review, right? 25th, 26th.
The open book will be on the 25th, and then the Board of Review will be on the 26th.
So, and I talked to Chad earlier, so for our budget, or utility budget, the utility board also has to meet to approve. What I'm putting in for is a slight rate change. So, $4.96, $5, $5. But we have to approve it anyway. So we're going to try and couple that together just to throw that in, FYI.
Okay.
2 weeks.
So either one of those days, I guess, for me.
17th, next Tuesday?
Which one?
Next Tuesday, enough time?
That might not be enough time. I don't have everybody's budget.
Okay.
Well, I was saying if you're going to want to do it before open book or board of review.
Doesn't have to be. But the time is really yours. So, I mean, however you guys want to schedule your time, I'm at your mercy, so.
The 24th, it's
24th.
We don't have
Well, I
to do
was
it
gonna
at
do it
6. With the budget working session, we could do it much earlier than 6 o'clock if everybody's free.
I'm free.
Well, do you want to combine it with the
I was thinking on if you were meeting that same day. Okay, so like
the open book day?
Yeah, or
I mean, if we did it on the 26th, we have to meet at 5 o'clock. So if we did, depending on how long you think it's going to take, we could meet at, say, like 4, do the working session, meet for the utility budget, and then go right into a board of review and only meet one time. But that requires somebody being here at 4 or whatever.
I can be here at 4. I'm fine.
Be
with
at 4?
Rodale.
I'll be
4
here
on the
at 4.
26th?
Yep.
4.
Okay. And then right after that, immediately after that, we'll have a quick utility meeting, and then we'll be ready to go for 5 o'clock board of review.
Right. And you guys will have. We'll be able to get them up. Give everybody the sheet to review of where we're at, so you can see what why it is. So the actual.
You don't need a motion on that, do you, Chad?
Yeah, if we can.
Can I get a motion to accept that time for the
4 p.m. on the 26th?
Correct.
Moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Ralph. Any further discussion? Call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Move down to 5F. Consideration of requests for funding from City of La Crosse for Clint Street pedestrian crossing. As most people know already, they want to put that crossing up, and pretty much, I don't know, it's a crosswalk on both sides of McComas. And I was kind of hoping myself that would be a little bit closer to in between Tom Sawyer's and Castaways, where they're planning on putting the one that we're paying for, I don't know, kind of seems like a bad spot. It would be better if there was one in between Town Sawyer and Castleton instead of where they want to put it. I talked to Jackie Eastwood, across area, or across County Planning Committee, and there's a grant coming up that's going to be available the end of this month. It's called Transportation Alternative Program, and she said she'd give me the information the end of this month. And the grant is a minimum of $300,000. So if we could get a grant large enough to put a route, a sidewalk, whatever, from Nokomis all the way to Summit School. You know, we had talks before on just going from Clinton to Goddard was.
Yeah, it was a couple $100,000, but that was also filling in that hole, which was some of that. So, I mean, a proposal like that would be.
It has to be a minimum of $300,000 to be able to.
So the subject at hand is the crosswalk at Nokomis and Clinton. So this has been, and to Mr. Howell made the comment earlier, we've tried to get a sidewalk on the north side of that Bainbridge, or I'm sorry, Clinton, since the beginning. When we redid it, we did it into the, if you guys ever was at the meeting, we purposely spent the money, made it 4 lanes, they cut it down and now back to what it is. The problem with too many crosswalks, which we've discussed over the years, is you put a crosswalk and you put flashing signs. We got 1 lane, right? So we've already got that congestion with the added dedicated walk and ride space aside from the sidewalk. So you've got that mixed traffic, and now you're putting choke points. We've got a crosswalk already down here at Quick Trip, right? And put one up there. I know they talk about flashing signs where the traffic's going to come to a halt. You got to come to a halt either way because it's crosswalk. If somebody's actually in it, to alleviate that, we always wanted, or at least I enjoyed the one where when they put the bridge in, if they were to put a crosswalk on the north side as well as the left side, you wouldn't have all that crossing requirement on that single stretch of road. It's now 1 lane. So, I mean, the sidewalk all the way to Summit, that may be great someday, but I'm looking at this, what we got now as a result of that, remapping of that road. And if we're to spend any money, if we can get any movement on it, I still hugely prefer that we would get sidewalk on the north side of it, because now you've got people don't have to cross. You don't have that pedestrian vehicle interaction required. You just reduce all that. If anybody talks about safety, to me that's the most common sense thing ever. Just take it away. You don't have to cross. You just until you get to the north side. You want to go. I guess if you want to go that way to downtown, you could. But that. Go ahead, Chad.
So quickly to reiterate, part of what I gave you here is email communication between members here and there.
Yeah.
By the sounds of it, Cabot, this has already gone through their finance committee. It should be going to their common council on the 12th. By the sounds of it, they are going to do the one themselves. Period. Regardless.
Yeah, they kind of committed to that, I guess, at the meeting to offset some of the.
What they're asking for is he wants help with the other one by Boathouse Drive, and that's where he wants Campbell to pitch in.
Which one was it?
The one over here by Boathouse Drive that goes west. The west one, because they're going to put the east one in.
Yeah.
My only concern on that would be when we talked about bringing that down to a 2-lane highway or a 2-lane road, that they kept saying it's only paint. What happens when they put a big old concrete thing right in the middle? Think they're going back to a 4-lane? No.
Why
Absolutely
make it a 4-lane
not.
in the first place?
They'll never go back. They'll never tear that out, especially after spending $56,000.
And they're going to make us pay for it. We don't even get our voice, but they're making.
My question is, why do they want one there?
Now you know why America's being sold
Yeah,
to
why
the
would
Chinese,
they
huh?
don't? You know,
It doesn't go anywhere.
I don't know.
For those throwing.
That's why we better.
I mean, if you're gonna cross the road, you just walk down to Nokomis and cross, there's nothing in between there, it's dead space. Why do they want a second crosswalk there to cross into the grass?
there is painted stripes on the Comas.
They-
Crosswalk signs.
Yeah.
How come it's all they? What about us French Islanders?
Well, part of that roadway's theirs, part of
I
it's
know
the county's.
county, it owns all French
so-
Island. One time, Town of Campbell went all the way to Bluebird, all the way, I don't know how
Yeah,
far.
it did
south.
at one time, but it doesn't anymore.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the problem.
Vultures chop it up and eat it up.
But I would agree with Bob. My concern too, though, is if we ever decide to plan something between Tom Sawyer's and Castaways there, and you have a third median pedestrian
Yeah,
crosswalk,
they're gonna be right on
you're
top
gonna
of each other.
right on top of each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see a need for one of the boathouse drive myself because it doesn't go anywhere.
No.
If you want to walk across the street there, you walk across the street to that little patch of grass.
Right.
That's between there and the bay. I mean,
Or they
there's
can just
nothing else
walk
there.
down just a little bit and cut
They
back.
could go down and cross at Nokomis.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's my opinion on it. I'd rather have one by Tom Sawyer's. You know, up there where there's people actually crossing, you know.
No.
Yeah.
Because nobody's crossing that boathouse.
No.
Ralph, you got anything on that?
I agree with what you're saying. That,
I agree.
Well, gotta get a motion to decline.
I move to decline.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to the 5G lease agreement request for Nelson Park Ball Field. Well, I guess everybody pretty much knows they're asking for $6,500 per year for just the ball field. I guess it comes to $1 a square foot.
Okay, well, here's my question on that, Terry. The fencing and the stands and all that stuff that's there now is ours, is my understanding. So they're charging us $6,500 for a field. Now, if that were on property tax roll, the taxes on that would be nil. You know, $500-600 a year maybe in the city. In a rural area, it'd be nothing. You know, essentially $20-25. So that seems a little excessive.
Yeah.
There is a little bit here. I did call our assessor, Todd Pauls, asked him what he would appraise something like this, and to find out the legitimacy of it. He was actually part of an airport committee at one point, so he knows all about the stuff. He is correct. They are correct and able to be able to charge or having to charge for that. However, he did say that the FAA doesn't regulate what the assessment value necessarily of the property is.
Just gives them authority.
It just gives them authority to do it.
Yeah.
The other thing is that $6,500 a year would be, if any cost associated with the maintenance would be deducted from that as well. Now, I know we don't probably do $6,500 a year in maintenance on the field.
We certainly can.
But we certainly can. So just to add to that yes, absolutely. But these numbers can be changed because the FAA is not dictating that dollar amount.
Right, they just dictate a fair
They're
market
just playing a
value.
game of blinds man bluff with us.
Yeah.
Trying to punk us out is what they're doing. That's what they've been doing.
So, with that being said, that field is historic, at least in our age bracket.
Right.
Right?
We own a lot of that. I'm telling you, I looked on the tax bracket.
We
own
played
a lot
together
of
on
it.
that field.
Right. So,
2850 Airport Road.
going back to the origins of it, the dynamics over the years have changed, and I think I was always trying to understand the county owned it. That may or may not be true. I may be incorrect.
Can we get an audit on?
I think they did at one point. I've seen lease agreements between the county. We've seen those on that property.
And then they sold it to the city?
Something like that.
I think the city always owned it, but
And
the
then
county leased it
A
out.
fair amount of the
that's
shoreline is federal too.
Yeah,
So
on the edge of it.
Yeah.
So herein lies the kind of the challenge with it that we've seen from the Park and Rec, and I know Kelsey can speak to this specifically, but we had all the ball fields, very active association, and as the demographic changes, the use and the need changes with it. Not that it's not going to be used again in the future, but the last couple of years we haven't even had active.
Just Bar League baseball been playing on.
Who is it?
Bar League baseball.
Yep. Bar. I know that
Which they donate money to us, but it's not
right.
close to.
So they have a couple. You typically, so for the Sky Harbor, they typically have tournaments down there, and what happens is in the past that R&R always kind of allowed Campbell to have that, and we put up a ball field with the understanding that we keep it maintained. That, if I remember right, at any point in time when we decide we're not going to maintain it, then they just resume ownership of it, and it no longer is no longer a dedicated ball field.
Are they paying taxes on it?
So,
yes, they are.
As far as the tax goes, I don't know, but as far as the usage of our fields, that's where you got to try and keep it balanced. And I know Park and Rec, I mean, that's where the budget money would have to come from.
We did try for a baseball team this year, and that didn't work. We are in talks with like a YMCA program, but I'm pretty sure they would use.
And that has, I'm going to tell you, I mean, just in my time, that has gone through that cycle.
I think in retrospect, in all fairness to them, and I hate to say it, but it's their property. You know, we talk about how we hate how they can come in and tell us what to do, but we're kind of doing the same thing, telling them what they can do with their property. It's theirs. If they want to take away the ball field, it's theirs. It sucks, but that's the nature of it. Because we don't like it when they come in and tell us what we can or can't do with our property.
Well, there's underlying issues too, right? It's not just, I mean, there's been complaints and things happening back in there too that they're trying to cover.
There is. I think they have some legitimate complaints, enforcement complaints back there.
They don't want to have to.
You know, the reality is they're never going to sign it over. It'll never be ours.
That's the downside.
It's their property. If they
Not from what I read on the tax record, just like the B&B down here or whatever. You do an audit, I'd like to have an audit done. See how much that airport, because when I brought it up, the only that little part down there by Callaway, and then the old Ace Hardware and a lot of it all town of Campbell, like how they control Fisherman's Road, they just block us right off.
Respectfully, this is public comment, correct?
correct.
This is not public comment time, is that correct?
I mean, aside from maybe going into conversations with them to do a reassessment of it to a more fair value.
Right. Should we counter offer?
You could. I mean, absolutely, but.
Yeah.
Well,
So hold it over till we hear back from them. We'll make a counter offer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's what I'm saying is how much do we want to counter for a field that at least the last 3 years for sure
We haven't used.
has not been used. So just kind of keep that in context. If I separate myself from the emotion of it, it's not me making the decision. I'm trying to, if you look at it from a town perspective, or how much you go to the residents and say, hey, we're increasing your taxes so we can hold on to this because I played ball there and I want to stay in the town of Campbell, right?
Well, that could, I mean, it's not just the ball field, it's the other part too, the tree, all the trees and where people drive their dogs and stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. Correct.
And I think more people use that for dogs than we realize.
Well, I wouldn't disagree with you, and this comes to the forever conversation of, goes back to the boat landings. Well, at that point, if the town of Campbell residents are using it, and we're paying for it, we got to pay the city of La Crosse, then I'm going to require a park access tag. Town of Campbell residents get one for free, everybody else has got to come and buy one. And I feel the same way about the boat landings. I mean, I know there's a boat launch fee, but there's a lot of use at those boat landings that takes up all the space, and they're not paying for anything, running their, and so I completely agree with that. If that's where we want to go, just as a mindset. So I guess from the board perspective, the rest of the board at that point, you have to.
Can I get a motion then to hold it over and see if they would accept a counter offer?
I'll make that motion.
What kind of counter offer, or just?
Are you going to make an offer, or you just want to hold it over until we decide?
Who wants to tackle it?
Start out
Who
with
wants to
$100.
Clinton?
I'm on.
prove ownership is what I'd say.
So you
Get
got
it
a,
on
Brent?
you got a motion for holding it over with a counteroffer, but we're not going to stipulate a price at this
See if
point.
they would be willing to set a counter offer at this time.
Oh, inquire?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would definitely second that. If we can hang on to it for a reasonable price, I'm all for it.
Okay. So I go ahead and open the motion myself? I'll make the motion then that we counter offer, see if they would accept the
Oh, I thought you
counter
did.
offer.
Did you have one?
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
All
Mitch
right.
made it and Bob seconded it.
Bob second that?
Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Move down to 5H, renewal of maintenance agreement for assessing consultant services 2018-2019, assessment River Falls and Associates. I don't know, as far as I know, they've been doing a great job, I guess. Anybody have any discussion about it? Chad, anything?
No, I mean, obviously everybody's probably already received their letters in the mail. I just got done with the new assessment levels. We would be going back into the maintenance years with them. They are asking for $17,800 per year, which is actually down about $700 from the past previous years here. So, all in all, I think BA Pauls has been good, very nice to work with. Todd's always been very friendly, very open. I think they do a great job for us. So.
Yeah, he's always been accessible from my perspective. So like I said, it's up there. So, and very informative. And the nice thing or the good thing for when they do their assessment, it's very objective typically, which in my case this year doesn't give me any room to complain, but unfortunately they do use actual sales data from the area. So I think they do. Yeah, they've just done a great job in the past. So I move that we would approve the renewal maintenance agreement with Pauls and Associates.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Ralph. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Move down to discussion regarding the possibility formation of police, fire, and personnel committee. Well, I brought it to Chad there to talk about it one day, and something that I think we should do again. It was decommissioned, I guess, back in what, 2000?
2012.
Okay. What I'm doing is kind of asking for anybody who wants to be on it, give me a call. A motion, see if you guys would approve that too.
I think we ran an ad last time, and that's why it got decommissioned in 2012, because we got no applicants.
Oh.
Which,
Well, we have Facebook now, so
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
definitely put it on there. There's an active people on Facebook, so.
Well, and part of that,
and the web page too.
part of the decommissioning was due to. I'd be all for doing it, but if we're going to do it, I'm going to request that we have skilled HR ability as one of the requirements to be on the committee. Some sort of HR interaction, because the complexity of HR these days and the ability of a committee to get together and go through it and do a good analysis of what we ran into. And this was with interaction of the committee. They said the scope of trying to get the candidates that we have and the requirements needed to do a recommendation to us, which is the typical mode we do. If the committee comes to us and gives us recommendation 1, 2, and 3, as a board, typically we would follow that and say you've done your due diligence, whatever. At this point, we ran out of candidates of what was available for the different positions, and in that was the police, fire, and personnel came and said, we've got differing opinions, not based on any criteria. And one of the things that they suggested at that time was maybe using a different method, whether it's town board or outside agency to do recruiting and referral, one-time fee kind of thing. We never did it. We never got to that point, but that is the history, or that's why it was disbanded. We had done a lot of interviews over and over and over for different positions, trying to fulfill those, and I guess my take on it is it's a fairly specialized field. It's not like, I can use sewer utility. I mean, you could have people on there like, how much are the rates? Are we going to approve it? Lift station upgrade, and it's pretty straightforward. HR has gotten to the point where skill sets, whatever. But
I'm kind of looking forward to somebody we can make a motion to move forward on. Maybe we could put it on our website.
What I'm saying is I would not approve. I'm definitely would not support it until we have that criteria defined for what we're looking for in a committee.
Okay.
So does one person has to have an HR background?
Well, which you do have a copy of the original 1989 resolution organizing the committee in itself.
Yep.
What I would recommend is go through it, because there are some things on here that probably need to be reviewed and move, but use this as a template. Whoever wants to take this bull by the horn and see what we can do. And then we can get those type of rules in with this resolution.
So Bob, are you saying just one person needs to have an HR, or everybody needs to have an HR background?
I guess that would be up for discussion, but I could just say from experience going through a couple where we had to do contentious either employee or board. I guess I can't go into it. I mean, it's all closed meeting. Now, we ran into some gaps and challenges with it, and it superseded the ability, of the committee, and that was their recommendation at the time.
Really was it based on that there was such contentious between the committee that it ultimately fell to the board anyways?
It did. There was a couple of that's part of what was going on. So between the committee disagreeing, the personnel issues that we had to resolve, and the pending environment, the residents wanting resolution and us having to get resolution, we just decided that, well, we're just going to take it and have to make those decisions. And at some point going forward, I mean, we did a lot of that with legal counsel, all of it. Mm-hmm. And then when you go back to recruiting or any of that, maybe a hybrid version of something along the line, or maybe you even do a retainer with an HR specialist to give us input into how to do it as a board. Yeah.
So you're saying just one person will be fine?
If we did a contract thing where we were paying for basically referral, this is just what we were looking at previously. I'm not saying we have to do that.
I'm just asking.
I'm just saying that was one of the things. I'm not going to pretend I'm an HR expert. I mean, we all went through our management course, and you got to do your supervisory review, right? But that stuff changes so dynamically that when I went through the program versus what is out there today. That's where they said, we potentially contract some of that, or have a HR.
I think ultimately, yeah, you just need people that know that kind of stuff. When you start talking disciplinary action for personnel, you just can't have somebody off the street making those decisions, because
everything
there are legal ramifications for those decisions.
Yeah, it was everything from even just trying to be effective in our employee review, in our review process, and step and all the way down to like fundamental hiring. What do you look for? What be careful on what you can ask or what you can't ask. So I mean, it was all of that stuff, and that's.
I was just asking.
No.
I just wanted to know if it's something we're going to be eliminating 3/4 of the population because they don't have an HR background.
Yeah.
That I mean, where's the fairness in that when we run and we don't have to have a certain background?
I would say as long as one of the leaders is very
is one going to be okay,
familiar.
So we can get a little more of the community involved, or would you?
I don't equate those two things as equal. So I guess I look at, if you're running for board, that's a specific role. This is also a specific role. And so if people that are running for the board don't feel adequate with their skills, I don't, or the residents don't feel we have adequate skills, they're not going to elect us.
Right.
Right.
I just was trying to clarify if we're going to be able to open this up to everybody, with the exception that we need one person that has an HR background.
I haven't determined any of that. I guess that's something I would like us to discuss so we know what it is we're creating. Especially if we're going to take recommendations from that body.
To take that a step further, I mean, obviously the HR is important, but if we're talking about people that are going to oversee these kind of groups, they should have some kind of background in
what's the role of
a retired police officer, or a retired firefighter, or a whatever it may be. And I think what takes it, you're taking your 25% down to you're cutting it. You got to get volunteers, and then to start with, you got to get a volunteer, and then they got to meet certain standards. So I'm not opposed to it. It's going to be hard to find the right group.
It is. I think this is a very tough committee to form. It does take a special person, but to yours, I would say, as long as, because you would elect a chairperson and maybe a vice chair, I would say that at least one of those people would have some extensive HR background so that they can lead that committee when they're having their discussions.
I would see if I can get a motion just to carry it over, and everybody take a good look at it, see what language we should put in it, and
sure,
kind of people we need to look at.
I'll make that motion that we hold it over and
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Kelsey. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Let's move on to 5I, discussion regarding possible 5J, request to purchase cell phones for town board members. I brought that up. I was talking to Raleigh Town in Alaska, he told me, he said most town chairs have a cell phone provided by the town. And then in a chat, I see it was put on here that everybody get one, but I don't know what you guys want one to do.
I see the need for it, but I already got one in each pocket.
Okay.
So I'm not opposed, not against it.
Yeah, I was thinking too, we carry it over to a budget time because it's not cheap.
Yeah.
So on that, I was going to talk with you, Terry. I mean, that's why we got it in the meeting. But if it's from a more of a seamless communication, which unified communications platform would be what we're talking about here. And with Ralph, I don't necessarily need or want another cell phone, but the technology today allows us different ways of doing that. I'd have to look at our existing system, but we could very effectively create mailboxes or extensions on that system. Somebody wanted to call the town, and if nobody's here, it's still they go through the auto attendant, pick you, goes to you, and then from there we can do messaging, email, or whatever. So if you're on your existing cell phone, where you'll get the notification, you got an email, you'll dial in, get your voicemail, and then you can call them back. But you're running the balance of, hey, I have to check my home phone if I'm not home, and somebody left a message this morning, I don't get back to them and I missed it for a day, and I don't get back to it for 2 days. Now they're smoking hot. Well, that would potentially address that, and then it would be consistent where they could just call town hall if nobody's here. They could just pick the extension. It makes it, from a user standpoint, much easier than you're no longer listed in the phone book. I only have a cell phone now. It's my personal one, and or whatever. So rather than maybe hit the budget that way, if we have that capability, that might address it. I get if that's what you're looking at. I'm not sure if that's where you're looking, but I thought especially since we did Outlook, and we've got that capability with 365 for us to get standardized email, standardized user accounts, so it's not Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail. Everybody goes to the Town of Campbell, supervisor 1, 2, 3, chair at townofcampbell.org. Just kind of falls in that same, I guess, user experience. was kind of how I was looking at it. I mean, I don't know what everybody else is thinking, but
I was looking for a cell phone that the town provides, and then my home phone won't be on there anymore. So I get the calls instead of my house because I'm usually never home. And like you said, by the time I get back to them, it's pretty late at night or a day or two later.
Right.
So,
yeah, I know. Especially if you're getting a lot of calls, it's easy to fall behind because you're getting other stuff on there too. I totally agree. I'm just saying, I think we can maybe you've already got a cell phone. I know we all have them, and you don't necessarily want that number published everywhere, but you could use it to integrate to that system. That someday when you're no longer, I'm going to say myself, I know one of these days when I'm no longer on the board, then it goes to whoever, it just stays the same extension. So whenever people call in, they don't have to remember my number or trying to call me. It's just, they call Town of Campbell. It's the same extension, supervisor, 1, 2, 3, 4 chair, boom, done. So I talked to Chad a little bit. I didn't really drill into it, but even if we had to get a whole nother hosted number as a pilot number off of our system, I know you can do it. I mean, I'm just saying that. You know, a lot of people that's what they do for their business right now. So most likely capable, because we just got a new phone system, I'm going to say adding voicemail boxes on there is absolutely possible. And then whatever we want to do for messaging out of there. So my motion is that we look at our existing system and see if we could do messaging off of that first before we do budget for cell phones.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Kelsey. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Let's move down. Placement of school route signage on Hinckley Road and Helen Court.
So we've had a lot of calls about Hinckley Road already with high speed. It's a route that people take, and we had a lady earlier this month sent an email in or made a phone conversation, and so then that got to me, and they're concerned about, and it's a good concern, that the kids walking on Hinckley Road. So had the police officers do a little checking on what we have and what we don't have. We've got 3 existing signs. It's the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. And we wouldn't mind adding 3 more. I just wanted to put it before the board.
Can I get a motion to?
So the 2 that you want to put in here by Hinckley are all the way up by, they're past Maryline Court. So people are already speeding and then they have to decide to slow down.
Well, there's one back here. You mean
But if you're coming
which
from
way?
Main Bridge.
There is a sign over here.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Got it.
Officer Casper informed me that when I got
Okay,
tonight.
never mind.
And so there is one coming from that way. It's a good question.
So then the purpose of putting one at Hinckley and La Crescent there? You said there's already one down
There's
by
one,
Maryline?
which would be to the west, or to the east, I'm sorry, for traffic heading to the east, heading west. So traffic heading that direction would already have a sign to get them slowed down, but it's quite a ways down. And with the traffic that way, I don't think we need to be afraid to remind people. Sometimes they don't see the first sign.
That's kind of what I was getting at. It's a reminder sign, basically.
Signs aren't that expensive. By putting them up where it's a posted speed limit, it can be enforced, instead of just please slow it down sign. It's actual, this is the speed limit, and that way we can enforce it a little bit.
But up until now, we have had enforcement capability all the way down Hinckley then?
Yes. Right?
Yes.
They are going to move the speed limit thing over there too. Shows you how fast you're going around.
Yeah. Yep. And that'll help too.
Yeah. That'll help.
There's definitely a lot of kids that use the road, to walk there. And there's
I think it's traffic on Town Court too, as well, right, Ralph?
Yep. Yep. Down on the bottom of Town Court. Yep. We got one there too.
Just because that's the bus route. We have a lot of kids that walk Crescent Street up.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that we cover the entire school zone Because that's what this is, it's a school zone speed limit when children are present. So the speed limit changes from 25 to 50 when children are present.
Can I get a motion then to accept the placement of some more school route signage on Hinckley and Tilly Court?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Ralph and a second by Kelsey. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Move down to 5L, discussion regarding requirements for municipal treasurer's bond. Chad?
This was something that was brought to my attention a couple weeks ago, actually. 2017 Wisconsin Act 52, Wisconsin Municipal Treasurer's Bond Act was passed, requiring that municipalities bond for the amount of taxes levied for the county and the state. Currently, our bond amount is $250,000. For the bond, by going to this, we actually have to bond for about $1.5 million. That is one option. The other option is by ordinance, the town can opt to not bond, but then the town assumes full responsibility or liability for tax appropriations towards the county and the state portions. So I guess I just need to know which way you as the board want to go as far as the bonding for the treasurer. The bond itself is actually not a bad deal. Bud, our insurance guy, I just got off the phone with him before we came in the meeting. He did some research for us. Currently, we spend about $328 a year for our crime policy. It's a $50,000 policy. It protects every employee of the town. We were paying $705 a year for the bond, which is a $250,000 bond. So we were paying a little over $1,000 for both policies. His recommendation, and he's pretty sure that this is legal and legitimate, is to eliminate the bonding itself and increasing the crime policies. What it would do is it would cover all employees up to $250,000, and then there would be an additional $1.25 million coverage on the treasurer. That total actually comes to about $760 a year. So between the two, it's actually about a $273 savings to go that way. It doesn't, just like any of the other bonds, it doesn't alleviate or eliminate the liability for the town's portion at all, but I mean, not in its entirety. But neither did the $250,000 bond either, so. That's what I would recommend anyways, is that we just go to the new crime coverage, and it really ups everybody's liability anyways. Hopefully I explained that okay.
Anybody got any questions?
Well, we are, is it because we, under the local, it was our local ordinance was for requiring the payment of taxes?
Yes.
We were doing it by local ordinance. We weren't doing the bonded state.
No, we've always had a bond here, as far as I can tell, the $250,000 bond.
Yep.
By local ordinance, we can waive the bond and basically assume all the liability without paying the bond every year. But again, for about $760 a year, really, it's kind of, I don't know.
So it's, in short, it is a state-backed
my guess is some insurance company legislated this and is making a killing.
So if you want to be part of it, you're covered for $767. Otherwise, you're on your own.
Right.
And then you gotta pay all errors and mistakes and whatever misses,
Yeah.
which may be very quickly more than $767.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our appropriation again to the county is 1.4 million plus the state portion. So, you know, that not to say again, that would require me to run away with a lot of money in a very short amount of time and never show my face in this town again.
Yeah, I get it. I just wanted to make sure that the $700 was, you know, we were leveraging that pretty effectively against a much higher risk, I guess is what it kind of comes down to.
Yeah. The $700 is really kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, when you think about it, but.
Any other discussion? Anybody want to make a motion then to accept that?
I'll move. Yep, I'll move to approve that bonding for 7.67, right?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
And since you're the
Motion
insurance guy,
carries.
I'll get with you to see what Bud needs from us.
5M, approval of elected fire department officers and trustees. Chair. I guess the fire department had their meeting last week, and the people on the fire department had an election. They picked a chief, a secretary, a treasurer, and their trustees. And I guess I need a motion to accept. Anybody got any questions?
Who are they?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
My name's on the list. But if you got any questions as a trustee, I'd be more than happy to answer.
I'm all for the trustees except that guy Van Loon guy. I'm not sure. I move to approve the officers as submitted by the fire department from the fall 2017 election.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. I guess we'll move down to, can I get a motion to go into public comment?
Like that motion?
He'll just be another
I have a motion by Ralph and a second by Kelsey. Huh?
I guess, yeah.
Oh, that's I had a motion by Kelsey and a second by Ralph again. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We are in public comment. Go ahead.
Kelsey Craig, 2500 First Avenue. I just wanted to tell everybody that the Frog Pond cleanup, if you're interested, is Saturday, October 28th from 10 to 2. There's a lot of stuff down in there, so can I get a dumpster if you want to come and help? Bring your own gloves and things like that, but I'll provide bags and things. Wear thick boots, because there's some stuff down there.
Meet here or there?
Meet there.
Okay.
10 to 2, October 28th. It's a Saturday.
No children.
I mean, it's at your discretion.
Okay.
I won't advise it, but
Okay.
there's some pretty mucky stuff down there.
So you at the park?
Yeah, just meet down at the Frog Pond. Yeah.
Which side?
The side where the steps are, by something. That'll be our easiest.
You too?
Kind of on that telling court
Yeah.
area. Okay.
There'll be refreshments. So, I mean, if that gets you to come sometime, maybe. So, if you're free and like to help, it's a mess. So, that's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Todd.
Doug Olson, thanks Ralph for all the work you've done. And I want to know when, I'm assuming now that when you talk about this in the upcoming budget, that there'll be some engineering people that look at this thing and try to resolve the problem with the water.
We're definitely going to look at it closely.
Good. Okay, now, when is the budget hearing going to come up?
We don't have a set date right now for the actual hearing.
Could it be sometime in November, December?
It'll be in
Right,
November.
be in November.
Aren't the working sessions open?
Oh yeah, absolutely, if you want to come for the working session.
Yeah, thank you.
It's good times.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Barbara Ball, Barbara Ball, 104 Goddard Place. Looking at these things that, listening tonight as I've been listening. Number one, don't give lacrosse any money. Lacrosse is, I was with a bunch of people that went to Madison to keep lacrosse from trying to take us over. Okay? They are very rotten people, extremely rotten people. They don't care about French Island. They wanted to take only the part of French Island they could get the most taxes from and leave us high and dry, no fire department, no police, no anything. Okay? They didn't care. They admitted they didn't have the money to take care of us, but they still wanted to take it. Don't give lacrosse any money. And if they want to take Nelson Park, let's just find someplace else, okay? You got the fence, you got the bleachers, just find someplace else, because I understand what you're saying. I do. But I don't want to give them any money. I don't know who the idiot was that made the decision to cause a traffic jam on Clinton Street. I have no idea. I cannot believe that's going to be, it's just, to me, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Number one, I've been up and down there now at least 6, 7 times. Never once have I seen a bicycle. Not once. And all those times that I've been back and forth. And my husband has never seen one, and he goes back and forth all the time. Never seen a bicycle. So why do we have a bicycle road, okay? I would like to see a sidewalk on the other side. That would be nice, as long as they're paying for it. That's okay with me. But if they're going to fool around and waste all this money on marking up a road that has been there since I can remember, and I've been here since 1948, we've never had a problem with that road. We've never had a problem with bicycles. We don't need that mess. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Here, here.
And I'm sorry I didn't get to go down there to tell them so, but it's dumb. The other thing is, if they want to spend all this money, tell them to clean down the trees. When you're coming onto French Island, and what do you see? You don't see the beautiful river. You see a mess of trees, and I believe that's theirs. If that's the county road, that's their mess to clean up. So tell them to clean that up. You can spend some money doing that. What was the other thing? There was one other thing on here that I was going to say. Can't find it. So anyway, that's basically, I think that what they did was a mess. And, I know what the other one was. When you come across the pike at night, there's a lot of areas that are black. So when you get to those, if someone decides to come across, you're not going to see it. Now, if those crosswalks that they're talking about, every one of them, they're going to have to put in a light above each one, so that when we come, because people, especially people like me who have lived on the island forever, we're used to just driving down and going home. Now we're going to have to stop every so many inches and let people walk across when there are no people crossing. One crossing is up by the new restaurant. There's people crossing there. There's a good crosswalk. The rest of them are wasted money. Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I'm actually going to have to agree with Barbara too on this one. That project is the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen, especially to do it a couple days before Oktoberfest. Whose brainchild was that one?
Throw them in the river.
If you want the names, I can tell you who it was.
Well, we all know who they were.
Ron
The
Chamberlain.
only good thing that came out of it was the Clinton Street in Copeland. The Rose Street, the turning thing. That's the only thing that came out of that one that was actually good. And another thing on the Clinton Street. So you mean to tell me they want to charge us $6,500 for a property and then ask us for some money to also put in a crosswalk? That's dumb. It makes absolutely no sense. And then they're trying to tell the point that Chad said about us telling them what to do with their property. They're doing that with us when they're annexing all these pieces of property for the airport. and then not telling us about it, and then us having to go over there and talk to their attorney about it, and then them promising they'll never do it again. This is BS, all of it, every bit of it. And Barbara said, don't get the city of La Crosse any more money. That's their problem, not ours. And welcome.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, Bob, that infamous manhole shenanigans, I understand that they're going to be doing another addition over there. That's been on the hit list, I think, for about 6 years, and if they're going to do a addition over there, now is high time to get that opened up so we can get at it.
Yeah, we have a meeting with them tomorrow, is it? Yeah, tomorrow.
Mitch, is the furnace going in for the maintenance guys out there?
It is. I signed the paperwork today, so
Oh, really?
Steve will take care of it, getting it all arranged.
Yep. Warm and cozy this winter.
Yep, be cozy this winter, yep.
The other thing I'd like to speak to as far as the drama in the fire department is I understand that there's 3 attorneys involved in that situation right now, so I do believe there's some drama back there. That's all I got.
All right, thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
Hey, go ahead.
I guess they talked enough about Clinton Street, but Nelson Park, Sky Harbor, I got, like I said, after I was here last meeting about the Clinton Street, I looked up on the tax parcel on La Crosse County Board of Zoning, and it came up French Island, Town of Campbell owns a lot of that airport. I'd like to request a full audit of when they supposedly took everything from French Island from us. Because a lot of it was that little Callaway edition was La Crosse, Ace was La Crosse, like Fisherman's Road, all French Island came up. Part of Bell Island out there was Town of Unalaska, City of Unalaska or whatever. It's kind of like all chopped up. But a big chunk, right, the runway and stuff, French Island came up, along with Fisherman's Road. And I want to know, to keep everybody honest, you know why? Because I'm doing my duty as Aristotle and Socrates would do. Because if we can't take care of our own local government right here and be honest and truthful, then how are we going to do it as a nation? I mean, that's how the Chinese and all these foreigners are coming here and walking over us, dumb Americans, because we'd rather slit each other's throat, walk each other over, and stab each other in the back for money, you know what I mean? Well, if these Arabs and these Chinese and everybody come over, we ain't going to exist if our country keeps going this way. I mean, you disrespect our Pledge of Allegiance every day. And that part of that pledge is with liberty and justice for all. And if I had justice, I'd be sitting on one of them board members if I desired to sit on it, if I was fortunate enough to get elected in. But at least I'd have that opportunity because I was deprived from a past corrupt Campbell Police Department. I can't. And if I could get my godmother and her husband Roxanne Weber and Don Weber to help me get my rights back, I just might be sitting on that board. Until then, I gotta do it on my own. But like I said, I'd like a full request audit of everything on there. We can do audits and researches on every other thing. I like to resolve it. That way everybody, from Barb, I grew up with her sons, Ricky and David, and Guy and Bonnie. That way we know who owns what, and that way we can put a lot of us older Native Islanders to rest. That way we know if we own it or if we don't and where we stand.
So a key part of that will be, when's our agreement up? 25?
Yep. 8 years.
So that all comes
know the
into,
date.
it all comes up in that conversation, guaranteed. And so a next, not a next 4.1 miles, 4.0 miles, whatever that is, Town of Campbell at that point in time will be probably the last opportunity to determine their destiny, whether they're going to be a town or be City of La Crosse.
When's this coming up?
2025, the end of our agreement, our ceasefire.
Ceasefire. When they finally take over, huh?
If that's how,
plow the rest of us into the.
if that's how the residents vote, that will happen. If they vote and go for independence and say we want to be our own village, a lot of that stuff will come to an end. I'm not going to say
if it is, then it is.
Can't guarantee that forever, but I will only say that was the plan.
Okay, but currently, right now, I mean, if they're sitting there trying to charge us what $6,500 for Nelson Park, and we own it, I mean, a lot of this stuff happened way before you guys, before my time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying they're punking the town of Campbell out of tax, like Mrs. Ball said. You know what I mean? She knows more about it than I do. You know, they've been walking all over French Island forever, and it's about time people start standing up for French Island. I don't like coming here, but like, you know what I'm doing? As Aristotle and Socrates said, I'm doing my civil duty. I'm going to voice my opinion, and if I lose, whatever. At least I'm going to have a peace of mind and know that I'm not a traitor and I'm not a sellout.
Thanks, Brent. You got anything else for us?
Oh, there's a lot more, see, well,
Anybody else? Well,
Well, just remember, when it comes time, that you guys get it out there, that they flat out said in Madison, in front of Senator Brown, I believe it was, that was heading it up, they said, we cannot afford to take care of French Island. We do not have the money, we cannot provide them with police, we cannot provide them with fire protection. What was the other one? There was another one. That they cannot afford to take care of us. So in this next 8 years, now, 8 years isn't very long. And you should start now working on this. Dan Kapanke would be a real great help because he's the one that was here at that time. But you've got to remember that if we vote to annex to lacrosse, we get nothing. We get nothing.
Except for triple tax.
Well, they've been taking everything of value from the island anyway.
Yes.
From those hearings, Barbara, back when we were going through that, this could have been adjudicated because we had that vote and it got voted down right at that time.
Yes.
Well, this should already be done
Yes.
once over. And that was,
I was really against this 20-year thing.
well, but remember, we got defeated. That referendum got defeated, 15 years ago. So that was the fallback, was to get this agreement in place. And when we were in that adjudication process, the one opposition they had was water system.
Yes. Yes, that's right.
We have a partial in right now, which we can expand at, and it doesn't mandate that everybody necessarily hook up to it like the previous one did. Okay, that may change.
Because I didn't want to hook up to the water system.
But that may change. And, it's an agreement with City Lacrosse, but that may change. Just be advised. It may require a full-blown system, and when we go to adjudication, having that facility is ours. We put it in. We paid for it. The residents own it. That was the last big hurdle with the referendum, and everybody thought the referendum was going to go and it got beat. So
We had some people here who were dead against it. I mean, really fought against it. A small amount of people, but they were dead set against it. And
well, it'll come up again. Is all I'm saying. That same process will
But
repeat.
again, what I'm saying is that make sure that you start this right away. Start looking into whoever. Look into it right away. Start finding out. Bob, you know a lot about this. Find out when you were around then.
I'm not that old, Barbara.
Yes, you are.
Find out what we need to do and get it out so that all of the people on French Island understand. There's a lot of new people on French Island who really don't love it like I do, and like a lot of people my age do. Okay, so they've got to have the particulars as to why we're going to do, why we need to vote to not be part of the cross. And so, the water system, they need to know about that. What can we do about it, what the costs are. We need to know that. And all the people on French Island need to know this, because French Island is not a together place. You've got the old people and you've got the new people. The old people know more than the new people do, but we can't tell them anything because they're young. So we need to get all that information. I'm sorry, I'm going on here. Just get the information out there so that they have time to look at it.
thanks, Barbara. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? Can I get a motion to close public comment?
Yes, moved. So moved.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Bob and a second by Terry. Any further discussion? I call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
I'm sure you're gonna are you gonna wanna recess here real quick?
Yes.
Let's make that motion first.
Can I get a motion to recess for 5 minutes? I'll second that. Motion second by Jerry. Any further discussion? I call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. I'll take a break.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Pass that on.
Ready?
Oh, Can I get a motion? We'll go in closed session.
So moved?
Second? Oh, wait, yeah.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second
Can't.
by Bob.
Roll call vote.
On a roll call here. Supervisor Craig?
Here,
Yes. Yes or no?
yes.
Okay. Supervisor Thorne?
Yes.
Chairman Schaller?
Yes.
Supervisor Bromer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wolford?
Yes.
We're closed.
That concludes our business. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Mitch, second by Bob. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. We're done.
Roger.